Without a car, I now have to leave home an hour and a half earlier than when I had my own wheels. The local bus service leaves much to be desired. But then, seeing as I was the only passenger for the entire trip, it's easy to see why so few buses run. The 0957 departs for Glasgow via Dumfries and Kilmarnock. It's most unusual to see so many youngsters with cameras and tripods at this hour. Something unusual is obviously due. The 0750 from Barrow-in-Furness arrives. These Cumbrian coastline trains are always well supported, yet never run to more than 2 coaches.
stop here. Please stand well clear of the edge of platform 1.
We're expecting another train from the Cumbrian coastline, but this one won't be carrying passengers.
Service to Manchester Airport. Entry for the North Lakes.
A nuclear flask, presumably empty, from Sellafield, heading for Carlisle Yard. Its destination beyond that? I've no idea. Punterston, perhaps? But now I must prepare for today's special. Crowds are gathering, so I'm heading out of the station to the North Car Park. Prior to the savage cuts of the 1960s, all of this area of car parks and light industry was railway. The Carlisle avoiding line ran along the left side of the picture beside the River Caldew. The West Coast Main Line now consists of a simple twin track as it heads north towards the Scottish border. An Avanti Pendolino eases away from the Citadel on the severely speed-restricted stretch of track. A third track leaves the northbound line as the route crosses the River Caldew. This track leads to Carlisle Yard and Kingmoor Depot. As the 11:06 ScotRail train for Dumfries heads north, we see the Seven Counties Rambler approaching. It started its journey at Linlithgow at 6:15 this morning and travelled south by Edinburgh before taking the Shotts route towards Glasgow, turning south at Strathbongo to join the old Glasgow and South Western Main Line, and travel via Kilmarnock and Dumfries to eventually cross the border at Gretna Junction. Beside the River Caldew, we see the old Carlisle State Brewery, now converted to private dwellings. I had been very concerned that the signalmen might have re-platformed the train at the last minute. Had it gone into either 3 or 4, it would have been totally invisible to the drone. Happily, it was routed into number 1 as scheduled. The stock is timetabled to sit here for 35 minutes, while the incoming Class 20s are removed. Originally, they were to be replaced by Class 50, number 50050, but it seems that that plan has had to be dropped, and another pair of 20s will take over for the next stage of the journey, via the Settle and Carlisle line to Preston. To be on the safe side, I land the drone, change the battery, and relaunch. Now, am I glad that I didn't opt to film from the platform? I don't think I've ever seen it so frantic. The outgoing 20s head off for Upperby, while their replacements sit in High Wapping siding. Now for the arduous, dirty, and potentially dangerous task of coupling up. Something which has disappeared with modern passenger stock. Today's trains consist of fixed units. If two units have to be coupled together, they merely push up against each other, and everything connects automatically. The English Electric Type 1, later to become BR Class 20, was produced between 1957 and 1968. This was the period when British Railways, bent on modernisation at any price and determined to be rid of steam power just as quickly as possible, was churning out new designs of diesel locomotive, untried and untested in large numbers. Many of these machines proved to be totally unreliable, becoming a massive and expensive liability. The English electric model, however, proved capable and dependable. It was well regarded by its drivers, and 228 were built. At 1,000 horsepower and with a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour, it was not a stunning performer, but then it was never intended for passenger work. It wasn't equipped for train heating, but was perfectly suited to the sort of light freight work which it mostly handled. It was unusual for a diesel locomotive in having only a single cab, which made for very limited visibility for the driver when running nose first. But pairing machines nose to nose resulted in a very respectable 2,000 horsepower and excellent visibility for the driver at all times. Ironically, this all-diesel excursion has several steam-age Mark I carriages in its consist, whilst our most regular visiting steam loco hauls only Mark II coaches, which didn't exist in the steam era. A long wait now follows, with the second drone battery steadily running down, until I deem it wise to land, insert the third and final charged battery. In the meantime, my camera apparently decides that it's had enough, stops recording, and leaves me with no sound for the remainder of the aerial filming. As the diesels round Petrol Bridge Junction and take up the load for the long climb, you might be forgiven for thinking that it's Tangmere up front again. A 4 3/4 hours gap before the Rambler returns from Preston, so after a very early start, a trip to a busy Wetherspoons, a meal and a leisurely pint in a glorious sunny beer garden. Return to the Citadel still with a couple of hours to kill. A southbound freight stops for a change of driver. I was taken unawares by this one, which wasn't shown on my listings. Another surprise. They're coming thick and fast today. Sitting in high Wapping siding, awaiting the return of the Rambler. Duty done for the day, the pair of choppers head off to Upperby Depot.
Right, what train is this? 'Cause
With 37,409 up front, the Rambler is returning via the Tyne Valley, Newcastle and Edinburgh to Linlithgow, scheduled to arrive at 7 minutes to 11, a marathon day. And it's going to be a marathon for me too, with no buses to get me home. Thanks for watching, and here's to the next time.